My name is Janelle Cross. I'm president of Align Financial Services Group. We are the chairs of the steering committee that organizes the events across the county during the month of October to celebrate Manufacturing Day in Lancaster County. The effort is organized under an initiative called Lancaster Makes, which is part of Lancaster County Career and Technology Center's umbrella programming. I'd like to take a moment to explain what Manufacturing Day is. Manufacturing Day is a national program. It's sponsored by the National Manufacturers Association, and it's designed to celebrate modern manufacturing and inspire the next generation of manufacturers. Locally, Lancaster County is home to more than 3,000 manufacturers, and during the month of October, many of those companies open their doors to our county's middle and high school students to provide an opportunity for them to explore careers within the manufacturing segment. In 2017, thanks to the help of many volunteers, we had 41 host companies that hosted over 1,000 students from all 16 of Lancaster County's public school districts and one of our charter schools. In 2018, we have more than 3,000 students registered. Again, all 16 public school districts are represented as well as a county charter school. Of course, why it matters is because the cost of four-year college degree programs continue to rise, while at the same time the gap in the workers needed to fill the skilled trade and technical positions continues to grow. Manufacturing is the second contributor to our county's economy, and so certainly we want to make sure that you all have the staff that you need to keep making the significant contribution you make to our community. Workforce Development Board estimates that by 2024, our county will add over 19,000 new jobs, and most of those jobs will not require a four-year degree. At the same time, we expect over 60,000 vacancies due to retiring baby boomers. Of course, it's one thing for you to hear from me why I believe Manufacturing Day matters, but it's probably more powerful for you to hear from folks who participated in 2017 activities. I hope after this presentation you'll take a minute to search the YouTube channel for some really great testimonials from Crystal Shaw of Armstrong Flooring, Heidi Whitmer of Donegal School District, a great testimonial from two students at Warwick High School, and Jody Pace and her daughter. Jody works at Advanced Food Products and her daughter is a junior at Elanco. So you can see from the testimonials there's a lot of benefit from all the various participants in the school, and we hope that you'll see that benefit as well. One of the things that I'll take a moment to explain, we're often asked why a financial services company would be putting so much effort into Manufacturing Day. And it might seem strange at first, but we see it as simple math. So Workforce Development Board reports that 85% of the jobs in our county require something less than 4 years of post-secondary education. Meanwhile, the cost of a four-year college degree is estimated to be somewhere between $40,000 and $132,000 nationwide, and about half of college freshmen will drop out before they've completed their second year. As 401k advisors, we're sitting down on a regular basis with employees who are asking questions about how to access 401k savings to pay for college tuition. So as we stepped back and looked at this, the math just didn't seem to make sense. Most of the jobs don't require a degree. A degree is super expensive, and we're rating retirement savings to pay for that degree that may or may not be necessary for the jobs that interest our children. So we're stepping in to help folks make better decisions with their financial resources and also to support the manufacturers that we work with on a daily basis. The impact of these events is really expressed in this statement that we received from a teacher last year. She shared with us that one of her students, who normally doesn't participate at all in lessons, really doesn't participate or contribute in group activities, that student came back from their Manufacturing Day tour and talked nonstop about the things that they saw and how they were impacted by those things. So what will students learn on their trip? What we ask you to focus on as you're speaking to them during their tour at your facility. The first is impact. We ask host companies to explain that everything the kids use, everything they experience is possible because somewhere someone made something, or in all reality, in many places, many people made lots of things. A good example was our visit last year to Burke Tech. At Burke Tech, students realized that the integrity of the cable that Burke Tech is producing impacts the quality of the internet signals that they're receiving in their homes. We also ask you to focus on the difference between jobs and career. I believe manufacturing has a stigma that these are jobs, that you have the same job and you do the same thing day in and day out over the course of 30 years. Clearly that is not the case in today's manufacturers, and we ask you to think about featuring a couple of employees who have evolved from job to job throughout their employment or throughout their tenure with your company, and how those jobs have culminated in what is actually a career. In the white-collar world, I think every parent believes that if their child takes an entry-level sales job, that someday they'll be a sales manager, a territory manager, or a vice president. We haven't laid the same expectation for these trade and technical careers, and I believe it'll benefit the interest that students and parents have in pursuing these careers if we can begin to paint that same picture for these careers. The last thing is to focus on the fact that modern manufacturing is not manufacturing of yesteryear. So this is not the Bethlehem Steel environment where everything is dark and dirty and dangerous, and when a parent sends their child to work, they're not sure whether or not they'll come home in one piece. Today's manufacturers are very high-tech, very cutting-edge. We ask you to focus on the importance of safety and the presence of technology, and how technology minimizes wear and tear on the bodies of folks, and also how technology keeps them safe in the course of their day. Another question we're often asked is whether or not students are coming from high school or middle school. We leave that up to the host school district. I would say in 2017, the majority of our touring students were high school students. Some of them were in a very specific coursework. So we had welding students from Ephrata who visited high steel, for example. But in other situations, we had a more general group. In other situations, we had middle school students. So for example, these are students from Pequea Valley. Pequea Valley opted to celebrate Manufacturing Day for an entire week. You see a picture down here on the bottom right corner of their opening assembly on Monday, where we talked about the economic data across the county, how many jobs there are in manufacturing, what those jobs pay. And then all of the students went out on site visits. These were 7th and 8th graders. And the other activity that they did is they assembled cornhole game boards. They had to develop jingles to advertise those game boards. They had to construct the boards. They had to decorate the boards. And then all the boards were donated to Toys for Tots at the end of the week. So Pequea Valley is kind of the example of really running with the Manufacturing Day concept, but schools are participating in a full spectrum of ways across there. The biggest consistency across the board is the engagement of students. So at Pequea Valley, one of their school nurses is the wife of an HR director at one of the host companies, and she indicated that during the entire week of Manufacturing Week at Pequea Valley, she saw fewer students in the school nurse's office than she sees in a typical day. So the students were fully engaged, not looking for excuses to get out of their classroom work. And that's really a good thing, and the reason why we seek out the support of so many host employers to create these opportunities for the kids. That brings us to another topic, which of course is the topic of money. One of the biggest challenges we faced in organizing trips last year is the limitation of transportation funding for field trips. Many school districts have very, very limited, if not eliminated, funding for field trips, and that leaves them to ask the students to contribute towards field trip costs, and in that case they're unable to make these trips mandatory. So that could mean that kids that really need this experience, really need to see what the real world is out there, really need to make the connection between their classroom work and their future career, might miss out on the opportunity to attend these tours simply because of limitations on on funding. So we are going to ask host employers to make a donation. Of course, that donation is tax deductible. It's under the Lancaster County Career and Technology Center's 501c3 Education Foundation. But we will ask you to contribute somewhere between $250 and $300, which is the cost of a school bus. In addition, we're working to put together a Lancaster lunch so that we can overcome the obstacle of providing lunch for the kids while they're out on the road. So we're asking you to sign up by August 3rd to be a host employer. There is an online application that we will send a link to at the conclusion of this webcast. That application is going to help us match you with an appropriate student group. It's going to give us an idea of what days of the week are best for you, how many students you can host, things of that nature. So we really need you to fill out that application. That's the source that we're going to create the matches. If you have any questions at all on that application, of course, we're here to answer those questions and support you in getting that information submitted. This presentation will be emailed out to you at this host company